the whole time the chat live. We around our folks, but we gon' keep the chat tight, keeping out trolls. That's why you gotta get your green name on, your pre-game on, cause ain't nobody doing it better, reviewing it better, building rapport so you in tune with the players, with some grit, prize pick so you can scoop you some cheddar. Get your mug or your shirt with the letters. Game time.
Mercifully, the game comes to an end in California, and Auburn escapes California Memorial Stadium with a win. We are all here live. Shout out to Prize Picks for the sponsorship of our post game. The fellas are all here. You guys are here. Does anybody who wants to start? I have so much I want to say, but see, you said you needed to get something off your chest, man. So I'm gonna let you kick it off, man.
No, I mean, listen, Rogue Shop has some really delicious gummies.
Shout out to rogueshop.com. Make sure you guys head over to rogueshop.com. Use code RAPPORT when you do. I wish I had some more. I see right now I'm gonna need to stock up because tonight ain't it, bro. Tonight wasn't it. I can't.
They have some good gummies.
I can't go through 10 more games of this.
I'm okay, because of Rogue Shop. If it wasn't for them, my laptop will be outside somewhere. No, it was. I do want to start with some of the things that I appreciated. Eugene Asante. I'm happy for that kid. Last year he transferred from North Carolina. Never got to see him on the field. And he was kind of forgotten about going into spring. We began hearing a lot about him in fall camp, and now we see why. And after game one, I was worried about the linebacking group, that second level. I'm curious to see how they move forward, but we got some questions answered in terms of who's reliable back there. Eugene Asante was flying all over the field.
Yeah.
I am proud of that kid. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. If it wasn't for him in that Auburn defense, this would have gone a lot differently. And I think we owe a lot to that side of the field. A group that was maligned after game one, subject of a lot of criticism. They were the reason we won this game.
Yes.
Shout outs to them for keeping us in the game when they were put in some of the most terrible situations. Fairweather.
Talk about it.
Didn't see much of him in game one. He had a bit of a coming out party, made a very tough catch on that drive, our only real drive. And then he basically big boyed old dude in the end zone for the go ahead. And Thorne led a touchdown drive. This is what we needed to see in the second half. There was a lot of things tonight that I didn't like about Thorne's game with the turnovers, not protecting it. Offensively, I'll let Mike and B Will talk about it, but very rarely do you turn the ball over 4 times and win a game. I don't expect that to happen moving forward.
Yeah,
that was inexcusable. But I will yield the rest of my time to them. I just wanted to cover the things that contributed to us actually winning this game. Yeah. Those are the two guys that stand out far and above on both sides of the ball: Eugene Asante and Rivaldo Fairweather.
All right, let's get to some of these super chats, and then I will let whoever wants to hop in next. Really Cozy says Asante most definitely had a talk with Zacoby before the game. I almost thought it was Z out there. Very Zacoby McClain-like game. He was all over the place. He had 12 tackles, including a sack and multiple tackles for loss. Jesus Christ.
1.5 tackles for loss, 12 total tackles, 9 solo tackles.
That man was everywhere. Well. Yeah, he was all over the field. He was all over the field tonight. Can't say enough good things about him. Wardam Jaderick says Asante is MFing him. You are not wrong about that. Let's see. Frankie Free says, well, guys, we have a solid linebacker. Everybody giving props to our guy, Eugene Asante. EA is in the game, baby. Wardam Eagle, I'm exhausted from watching this nonsense. We get glimpses of Auburn, then we have it destroyed by ridiculousness. Lucky AU survived this one. Auburn Jesus was definitely in the building because
I like that.
We had some fortunate bounces and calls go in our direction, and that kicker was absolutely atrocious for them. Doing stuff with daddy, Cy. We don't have a quarterback. Poor coaching, sloppy. SOSDY strength. I don't know what that. I'm not even gonna try to assume what that is. So can somebody decipher SOSDY?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're gonna have to tell us what that.
Unless the chat will actually filter it out because it's something profane. In which case, I'm sure somebody will help us out.
Clean Ott's clock in one. Don't like how we did it, but we did. Definitely hope that Jaden Ott is doing okay. I don't like to see any, I wanted to see, I went beat them at full strength. So I don't want any like, oh man, if Ott had got, we shut the run down for the most part tonight though. Yeah. So let's be clear. Jaden Ott was not.
He got bottled up.
Yeah.
78 yards on 20 carries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bankroll Block A says, if it wasn't for Eugene Asante, I would have pulled the trigger. That's a little grim, but all right. I feel you.
Don't do it, man. Don't
Ethan Barnett, QB is back on. QB battle is back off. Yo, we got to have a quarterback conversation between now and the next game. Like, I don't want to go too far into it. And I know we got somebody waiting in the wings that wants to cook on this, and I'm gonna let him do it. But QB battle, yeah. Let's see here. We've got Frankie Freeze again. It says, I will say when I put my Auburn hoodie on and went on that drive, we scored, wearing it all year now. Listen, man, if you do what you got to do, man. I'm not mad at the superstitions and everything. Make sure you guys share this video. I didn't say that already, but it should go without saying. Go ahead and share the video with any of the Auburn family that's still up. If you haven't liked the video, go ahead and do that and subscribe to the channel. If we have any Cal people in here, welcome to you all. I don't know what to say. You guys definitely did better than what we had predicted was going to happen, but I'll be darned if we didn't just try to hand this game over to y'all. We'll get back to you guys' chats in just a minute, but please keep them coming. We're going to get through them as quickly as we can. Who wants to jump in here next and get a little something like, anybody got like really quick words and they want to get out so we can let Dylan get in here? I don't know who's sleepy or nothing like that. So.
Yeah. Listen, Cal got screwed. They got screwed. The first fumble was definitely a touchdown.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Yeah. Right. Agreed, and so I think we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that, because that's minus 4 points off the board for them.
It's a tie game.
It's a tie game. So like, it doesn't mean that they win, but it might look a little different. Yeah. Right. So the refs, I thought they were. It wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but they were a little iffy tonight on both sides. Yeah. Play calling, we talked about it at halftime. If you weren't a member, then you missed it. Play calling was very unimaginative and boring, and I don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah.
But they're definitely gonna have to get that corrected going into SEC play, or there are gonna be a lot of L's on the schedule. Outside of that, right, like the defense did more than their part tonight. It felt like classic. We left our defense on the field the whole game. They're going to be out of gas right when we need them. And Eugene Asante came in, the superhero he was, to get that sack. Again, I think Auburn got lucky.
Yeah,
I think Auburn got lucky tonight.
Absolutely.
And this is a win that feels like a loss, because if they continue to play like this, you're not going to win many games.
Yep.
Their kicker, they might take away his locker after this. Like you might not even play. I mean, where to put his cleats after this. He missed how many tonight? 3, 4?
4, I think. Oh,
4?
Only 3.
I
don't know. It was bad.
He went 1 for 3 last week.
Yeah, no, he was bad last week too. Yeah.
Was it 4?
And the one he missed 3. He missed 3 kicks. The one that he did actually make, besides the first one, they had a holding penalty on it. So he had a rough night.
Now, forcing them into field goals is credit to Auburn's defense. Certainly.
Yeah.
But man, if they could have hit field goals, this
this is ugly.
Yeah, two of them, and this is probably over.
Right.
Now, if you watch the show, you know how many times I said the Hugh Freeze era has to be about getting rid of that feeling. If we could have just scored 3 touchdowns, we would have won the game.
Yep.
That's what this felt like tonight. But the defense stepped up, and they didn't need 3. They needed 2. That was it. DJ James got a timely pick.
Yeah.
Simpson, the one he got at the end of the half, is a throw up. It'll go down in the stat sheet.
So they had 4 turnovers this game as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
They had the fumble by Infante. Then they had 3 interceptions. DJ James got one.
Who was
Simp
the third?
Got one thing.
So that's only 3 turnovers. So DJ James, Simp, and then the fumble. 3 turnovers.
Yes, okay. 3 turnovers.
Yeah. So like I said, it was offensively. They've got a long way to go. They've got a really long way to go. Defensively, I think was there maybe 1 defensive penalty? Yeah, they played a pretty clean game defensively.
Yeah, I mean, it's very off clean. To the defense. The defense is what I was most worried about this game, and they stepped up.
Listen, everybody talked about run defense. Run defense this, run defense that. 113 yards are allowed on the ground to a Power 5 team is good.
Especially one that runs as well as they do.
Right. And again, to my point about why you don't run your mouth before the game, because they were definitely tracking him. Listen, they were talking to him. He got the 1 touchdown credit to him. But this is what I said in the post. Those comments are so selfish because you can't do it on your own. Right. And you put a target on everybody's back and then it ends like this. But, Cal fans will think, oh, well, you guys are not as good as you thought. Like, listen, Cal is a bad football team.
Yep.
They're not a good football team at all.
You should have won this game.
Yeah. Credit to their coach for pulling their QB and realizing, hey man, we got to go with a different guy, because if they had, Auburn would have had a lot of short fields if they had left the other dude in. They were getting after it. The pass rush was putting pressure on the quarterback. I can't wait to see how PFF totals like the QB pressures, but they were getting after it. The other dude wouldn't have lasted back there at all.
Oh, no, right? That was a smart decision for them.
Sure. And Auburn had to adjust to this, and I was like, oh crap! But they did adjust.
Yeah,
they kept a lot of things in front of them. They never gave up the big play tonight. Really, what huge play did Cal have tonight? So I think celebrate what the defense did, but also acknowledge that offensively, we don't want to be this year's Texas A&M.
Right.
Where you play world-class defense and then you lose a bunch of games because you can't score points, a minimal amount of points at that. Right. I wish I were more like, listen, every once in a while we have a post game where people are like, you guys are so negative. I wish I had it in me to say, Not
a lot of positive things to say about that offensive performance.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, there's not a ton there. As Jarquez gets his legs back under him in the fourth quarter, he found another gear. It felt like, but the play calling has to help them. I question the plan tonight. I do. Yeah, I'm glad they got through it. I still don't think they showed even a fraction of what they're probably going to do when they get into SEC play. But like, I question it. And then, like you said, at some point, we just have to have a conversation about quarterback. Everybody jumped down my throat when I tweeted out that, hey, Holden looked the best of the 3. Tell me what you saw tonight. That
absent of the one drive where he threw the touchdown, it looked bad. Like it
didn't look great. And from either quarterback. Yeah. Neither quarterback.
Well, they didn't even let Robbie. The plan for Robbie was terrible.
Yeah. Well, the plan for both of them was terrible, if you ask me. So I'm not.
No, yeah. The plan from the beginning was terrible. I'm just saying.
Bad, yeah.
That they didn't. I don't even think they didn't set up either quarterback for success. But it was almost as if they refused to give Robbie any success, just because it's like they're not going to even let him throw the ball when they're looking. I don't. Anyway, let's get back into this chat real quick.
Hold on. Wait. I didn't finish my thing. So at the end of the day, right? Like what they have to do is they've got to go back and they've got to look at the tape and they've got to improve quickly. Now you have Sanford coming up. Right, you got to get Jarquez Hunter back into the flow of things because he's got to be a guy that you lean on. You got to figure out how to work. Damari Alston was clutch down the stretch, but
he was good the whole game, other than the fumble.
Other than fumble, but Philip Montgomery and Hugh Freeze have to figure out what direction they're actually going on this offense. I got Charlie 5. Guess what? He had tweeted out like, "Listen, man, this whole QB rotation tonight it didn't work. Right, it didn't look good."
And he said we would win, right? But like he said, if it didn't work, then they go abandon it. I feel like it didn't work, even though we won.
Yeah. Pick a guy, right? And try to give him a chance to get into a flow of the game. I felt like after the first couple drives, I was like, I don't know if they're going to call plays like this. I don't know if Thorne is it, right? Like because but it wasn't really about Thorne. It was about how they were calling the plays for him. Yeah, I thought it set him up for failure. You know, Hugh Freeze, I'll end on this. Hugh Freeze has done an amazing job since he's been at Auburn, looking in the mirror and self-assessing and saying, we got to do better, or I have to do better, or my coaches have to do better. This is one of those times.
Right.
Yeah.
They got to sit down and have to take a hard look at the position they put these kids in tonight. And then I realized on the defensive side of the ball, they bailed you out.
Right.
These kids bailed you out. Right. And, you know, obviously Jay Fair catches another touchdown pass for the second game straight. I told you so. I yield the rest of my time to Brian. Or super chats.
Yeah, let's get to these chats here. You guys are watching the post game. Auburn escapes Cal Memorial Stadium with a win tonight, and the chat is going crazy. Our guy Mike Hickson here, defense played great. Eugene Asante is a bright spot. Whatever offense this is, throw that in the trash. Absolutely. Just ball it up and let something else happen there.
Tuesday morning garbage.
She says our defense showed up and showed out. Asante is him. A short field after short field, and our defense won the day. War Damn Eagle 2-0.
We heard a lot about his speed in the offseason, how fast he was getting out off the edge. A lot of players told us he is a problem coming off the edge. He forces the quarterbacks into bad plays. He did it all camp and all summer, and then he showed up in the game and he did it. So that's encouraging.
So happy for that kid, man.
I've been wanting to see him since last year, so I'm glad he finally got.
He's a player.
Let's see here. Frankie Colazzo says that MVP of this game is Eugene Asante.
Yeah, we don't have to vote. Tomorrow.
Ugly game. Right. I'll take it. I'll take the dub. War Eagle, y'all. Yep, definitely.
We don't even have to vote on that one.
Yeah. DK played really well too. Let me just shout out to
and he did look okay. I saw him after the game, so he did look okay. So.
Corey Purdue says, I expected to be more confident about this A&M game in 2 weeks if we won. This is why I said pump the brakes on this run through the SEC until we saw us play tonight. I do not. How about y'all? Still think we can, but the offense has me worried. Legitimate concerns about the offense. Understood. I'm going to let you cook here, B. Will, in just a minute. Jordan Ingram, the defense deserves a steak dinner. The other ones, Vintage 2298 needs to have a Eugene Asante and DK special. Let them boys just come eat. Everybody else should just watch them eat a dinner.
Let them cook. Let them cook.
Grief, man. Ambitious engineer says, put some respect on Tank's name, please. Regard from saying Jarquez Hunter. Please regard, but I think you meant to say stop saying he's better. It's different when you're the main guy being a spellback versus being a spellback Asante Ball.
We're not making any judgments on Jarquez Hunter because it's tonight.
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily, but the point taken. Yes, it is different when you're the guy versus the guy who's like the because Damari Austin had a better game tonight, but it was, I think, because Cal said Jarquez Hunter's not going to go off on us. When they saw him get the ball, they're attacking him. But Jarquez, I think, was pressing a little bit tonight.
He had first game rust. That's all that was. That's all you saw tonight.
Let's see. Joel Beckham, thank you, Black G.
he was calling for Black Jesus at the
He did call it at the half.
And Jesus was like, here I am.
Yeah. All right. B. Will, let me get your thoughts in here, man. And what were your thoughts on this game? We will get back into you guys' chats. Make sure you're sharing the live and all that kind of stuff, man. What's up, B. Will?
Mike G said that we were lucky, and I disagree because I think it's more about what Mike G said later, which is Cal is bad. And we said this over and over again coming into this week, coming into the game and pregame. Cal is a bad team.
Bad.
They were bad before we played them.
Yeah.
Maybe we were lucky that they're still bad from when we scheduled them 7 years ago or 8 years.
Two things could be true. Two things could be true.
Yeah.
No, two things are definitely true in this scenario.
Right.
Cal is not a good team. And because they are not a good team, we got lucky on some stuff. And the ball / referee whistle went in our direction a few times when it needed to.
It did. However, I did think that the first play where Peyton Thorne fumbled I thought somebody had gone out of bounds. Like looking at it in real time, I can see how as a ref you blow that dead. It looked like somebody went out of bounds.
It was weird. It was super weird.
Yeah, it was weird. But I mean, that was the incorrect call, though. It should not have been blown dead. They would have gotten the ball and run into the end zone. They would have had 4 more points. I don't think the play calling was so bad. The reason I don't think the play calling was so bad is because our players continuously misexecuted and gave the ball away. It's not like we were getting no yards moving. Peyton Thorne was reaching out. Yeah, it would have been what, 4th and 1? Okay, you punt. You don't give them the ball by turning it over on your 30. You punt, and our defense, which obviously came to play, would have been able to stop them way down on their end of the field. It wasn't that the offense was not working. Damari starts cooking, fumbles the ball. Jarquez into the game starts cooking, fumbles the ball. Thorne finally gets a wide open hooks, overthrows him by a lot, and turns over the ball. Which of those plays was on the play calling? What I saw was play calling.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Okay. The play calling was given. I'm not telling you it wasn't vanilla. I do think it was vanilla. I'm not telling you it was.
No, it was bad. It wasn't just vanilla. It was bad.
Vanilla was working until the players messed it up. And then you have to start doing something else because now we're getting no rhythm. Now players start pressing. Hugh Freeze has already remarked how Peyton Thorne has a tendency to press, or he gets nervous and he tries to do too much. I'm wondering more and more, if you're going to go out and get an experienced quarterback who is mature and knowledgeable and heady about what he does on the field, why do you have to manage his emotions so much? If you're going to get somebody, shouldn't they be the adult? Like I don't understand how that works from Hugh Freeze. If you're going to be committed to throwing the ball downfield and you think Peyton Thorne gives you a better chance to do that, fine. I shouldn't have to settle you down every time you get on the field. You're a grown-up. Be a grown-up. If I think Holden Geriner is too young for this, then I'm going to sit him down, but I'm not going to put somebody out there that reaches as the runner, doesn't understand that he needs to slide, clearly overthrows a wide open wide receiver. What is he out there to do? If we just got somebody who's going to play bad half the game and play bad half the good game, if you're committed to the better thrower was on the bench and he didn't see the field. If you're not going to at least come in, and this, we've seen this before, backup QBs in the NFL. This is their thing, right? They're not talented enough. They don't have enough arm talent. They don't act right under pressure. But at least the coach can say, I know you're not going to mess this up. If I give you A, you're going to take it. If the defense gives you 3 yards, you're going to take it. And I know you won't blow this for us. What is the value of an experienced quarterback if he can't at least raise your floor? Does it look like our floor has been raised offensively? Then what was the point? Spin the guys that we got. Spin it with the guys that we got so they can actually get the experience to take them to the next level. They're never going to get the experience if we never play them. And if you're not going to play them, you damn sure better have a better option on the field. 2 games. I'm not so convinced that we have the better option on the field of quarterback.
I agree with like 80%.
I agree with that part.
Yeah,
but the play calling was trash.
Oh yeah,
that part I don't.
It was trash.
Y'all still stuck on that.
It was bull.
I'm not stuck on it. It's for me. It's factual.
You don't run. You don't. The switching of quarterbacks was Harsin-esque.
Yeah, I disagree that it was working until the players messed it up. No, it never worked.
The players messed it up initially from the first drive. How could you say that it wasn't working?
I didn't like the plan on the first drive.
First drive was awful.
Yeah. I didn't like it from the beginning.
It was terrible. Yeah, like it was. And then you got Peyton Thorne running around out of the pocket. We know by the statistics that he is historically bad on the move, outside of the pocket. Those numbers are pretty clear. Yeah, I just don't know why.
Like a large portion of what you said, I agree with.
You run Robbie out there. You run Robbie out there. Call a timeout, and then run him around the end on 4th down.
That was weird.
That was. I'm not saying every play call in this game was good. Even in games where play calling is good,
I'm not.
There's still going to be a drive that stalls out. Yeah.
I can think of several drives where I said, why did they call that?
I think the majority of the plan and play calling was not very good in this game. When I get to this, I wish I had the all 22 for this so I could see what was happening down. I just don't think it was a very good plan. Let me get back into these chats right quick. And then we need to get Dylan in here in just a minute. Doing stuff with Daddy says, I feel like AU versus Missouri 2.0. We didn't win. The team was more determined to lose and finally did so. I said this earlier. I feel this felt like the Missouri game for me last year. Rick Cazenave said Asante and the D line were great. Old play calling execution mostly sucked. The
Just pause all that. Except fair weather.
Except fair weather. And
I think y'all doing this
series.
on purpose now. I think y'all are doing this on purpose.
Let's see. JT Martin, I don't know what to say to this performance question. Why wasn't Asante playing last year? This is a very good question. I'm just confused right now. Hugh got some soul searching to do. There's a lot of people who need to be figuring out what's going on right now with their lives.
To his credit, he did ask for time to get this right, but oof, man.
Yeah, this is very wrong, though. Cameron Carr says, I don't think that was us. We needed that. Underestimated Cal's defense. Thought vanilla would work. Turnovers. But see, okay, here's my problem.
There we go. I think that's what it was.
Thinking that vanilla would work is fine. If you're, but when you go into the half and you come back out and you're still doing a lot of the same stuff after the first drive, second drive, you're still doing the same stuff. When you're running stuff, when you come back out and there's a drive that's almost completely read option stuff and Peyton Thorne is the quarterback, that's a problem. That has nothing to do with vanilla will work. That's a bad plan that you're out there trying to execute with the wrong players. It's not good football. There's nothing fundamentally right about that as a football play caller, and I don't get paid $6 million to make those decisions. If you get paid that kind of money, you should be able to say, yeah, we have a guy that runs this really well sitting right next to me. Put him in the game and do that. That doesn't seem like a difficult thing to figure out. It just doesn't. Ben Bloodworth, outside of Iron Bowls, the last time that Bama lost and Auburn won in the same weekend was October 4th, 2014.
Oh wow! Eagle. Hey, I love that.
Gotta love our historians there.
Love it. Scott Chapman says, "Hope Ott will be okay, but we keep our team's name out of your mouth." Hey, listen.
Man, listen. When he jumped up,
yeah.
And I mean, listen, they were.
It was bad minutes the minute
listen,
he hit there.
I thought Jalen Simpson was going to get a
taunting penalty.
I thought that too
because he was talking to him. Listen, they heard.
I don't think he knew he was hurt yet.
Right.
But it was like he hit the ground and it was like every time they got him on the ground, they was talking at him.
Oh yeah, every single time they made a tackle on that young man, they said something to him.
Yeah, they let him know. They let him feel it. And when he scored the one touchdown, I looked at the stats and I was like, he's still not having a great game, right? Like he's not having a great game. Yeah. So it was a tough night. Like when you play a Power 5 team that, they watch the tape, so they know who the go-to guys are already. But if you want to paint an extra target on your back,
right?
It's just, to me,
I think it wasn't a smart decision on his part. To
3.9, 3.9 yards per carry is not. You're not touting that and saying I ran through them at 3.9 yards per carry. Like you're just not.
And I just don't think it would have gotten any better had he stayed in the game. I think it actually would have been worse. Like the third string back that came in got a little bit of a reprieve. I think just because his name was not Jaden Ott. Yeah. Like they were like relaxing a little bit.
Yeah. Listen, for reference, Auburn's top three backs averaged 4.8, 6.4, and 6.7 yards per carry. Like, I mean, and if he had done that tonight,
amazing. I said that we could consistently run the ball on this Cal defense. And listen, I'm gonna go find the two Cal fans that told me I was talking crazy when I said this in our comment section. Don't worry, I have bookmarked.
And it was a bad night. And it was a bad night.
I've bookmarked it. I'm going to come back and we need to have this conversation again about you telling me I don't know what I'm talking about when I say we'll have an opportunity to run the ball on this Cal defense. I know I watch enough football to know what I'm talking about. Shut up. Anyway, y'all know who you are. If you're watching this, you know who you are and you know I'm coming your direction. You better delete the comment. All right. Brian Hancher says a win is a win. It just don't feel like a win, though, Brian.
It is a win.
It's a win in the column.
Yeah. This is not one that would have left a lot of warm and fuzzies if they lost, certainly. But going out, anytime you go on the road, and I know I said a lot of negative stuff, but they traveled across 2 time zones and played on the West Coast, at the butt crack in the morning, and they won. And that is something I think that deserves to be somewhat celebrated. There are a bunch of challenges in travel and adjusting to time zones and climate and all kinds of things, man. And they went out there and they got the win. So credit to them. It wasn't pretty, but listen, you'll still take it. Hugh Freeze will still clock it in the record books as a W.
Let's see here. Don't know what you were trying to chat there, but Steve Valentine, appreciate the super chat. Gonna grab a few more and then we'll get Dylan in here. Just like KP says, when the offense went up tempo, we were able to move the ball. This is a factual statement. The up tempo was working for us, and it's something I thought that we could do well against them because of just how I saw that Cal was playing. But we just didn't get enough opportunities to do it because we weren't getting first downs.
Right.
AD says, well, crap, I'm locked in to Woodford and sugar-free ginger ale for the rest of the season. It is what it is. I took my first sip right as we scored.
He went sugar-free because he knows he's going to be drinking a lot.
I guess he's trying to keep the calories off, I guess.
Yeah, that's funny.
One more here, and then we'll get Dylan in here. Mark RWC says, Asante for SEC Defensive Player of the Week. I believe that he has made a case for himself for that. Coming in right now, though, from the college loop is our guy, Dylan Lark. Dylan, what's up, man? How you feeling? Throwing up the horns.
Throwing up the horns, and also throw up the U, too. I drank some Haterade this week, and I went 2-1 in my Haterade picks.
Okay.
I just need.
He was ready to come in here throwing shade off the jump. Not mad at you, Dylan, man. Talk to us a little bit, man. How you feeling?
I don't know. This game hurt me in other ways. I compared this game to the Missouri game last year, where
where did Auburn touch you?
All the wrong places.
So I remember watching the Missouri game last year, and my girlfriend saw the worst of me in this because I was like, Auburn won, but why don't I feel like we won?
Right.
And I watched this game, and I'm looking around. I'm like, what are we doing on offense? We're calling running plays for Peyton Thorne. We're trying to get complex passing plays done with Robbie Ashford when Sam Jackson's over there on Cal's side on an offense that outside of Jaden Knott, we've just been talking about all week that we've just not been impressed with. And they're over there dinking and dunking, and Sam Jackson's run all over the place. And if it wasn't for Eugene Asante and Donovan Kaufman and Jalen Simpson, who's currently leading Auburn interceptions, by the way, and defensive touchdowns, I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, Auburn loses this game, and shout out player of the game, Michael Luckhurst, for going 1 of 4 in his field goal attempts.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Michael. We appreciate your service, sir.
Probably was his last game, but you know.
Sir, you talked for 2 minutes straight. You didn't say one single thing about Jay Fair. I'm going to yield some time back to you.
Hey, congratulations! You're now 3 away from winning your bet.
That's right.
You're gonna hit the over on that.
He's gonna get it in the Samford game. He's gonna get his bet in the Stanford game. He should have gotten it tonight.
Yeah, he should have gotten it tonight for sure.
They didn't give him enough targets. The other target that he had, that was
over the middle,
that was behind him. He would have probably come down with the catch on. This game plan felt so much like last year. It felt like I was watching a game last year again.
Do y'all see how dangerous he is with the ball in his hand over the middle, though? Like, he makes that first guy miss, gets to the sideline, and then gets upfield. Like,
we didn't use VAR nearly enough in this game.
It was weird, man. It was weird.
Oh my God. I'm just glad that Fairweather got an opportunity to get some catches this time.
Yeah, love.
Yeah, he had the catch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game winning catch.
So I'm happy for those guys coming in and getting some opportunities, but they got to figure out the passing attack for sure. Because again, the defensive plan is still make Auburn beat you throwing the ball. Right. And that's pretty much what Cal's plan was. They was daring us to throw, and our head coach likes to throw the ball.
We didn't flat out refused to throw the football for like the vast majority of the second half of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let me get back to these super chats. I see you guys chatting in. We're going to try to get through as many of these as we possibly can before everybody gets stir crazy here. Auburn Dad for Life says, say that they should have been at least a tie, and they hadn't ruled down on the first fumble, but butt hurts or candy. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Listen, man, Cal fans have a right to that gripe. I'm not upset at them.
Yeah, it can't take away from them. It was real, right? Yeah. Like, they had a touchdown that was taken away from them that would have been at least plus 4 points.
Right.
Yeah,
I tend to think that Peyton Thorne was sacked in the end zone. I actually do think that possibly was a safety on that play because he was on top of someone, and so he didn't actually go down in the field.
Forward progress. He gets forward progress though. Like once
I'd have to go back and watch it where it's whistled. I don't know if that's real.
They can be upset about it.
Yeah, if he throws you back, right, like you get forward progress. He can't throw you back into the end zone unless you reestablish yourself.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
Yeah, like now. So it's like once he stops and they start pulling him backwards, the ball is down from when they started pulling him back.
I think this is definitely going to be a game that Cal fans are going to look at and go like, well, if we had gotten that, if Jackson Sermon didn't get called out of bounds, we would have won the game.
This is going to be the new Arkansas backwards pass.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Ike.
Like, and it was a fumble.
And we kept the same energy there too. So.
Yeah, we did.
So we're gonna be honest. Like, we're real fans.
So thanks, Mike, for pointing that out. Though
we're gonna talk crap before the game, but we're gonna come in here post game and we're gonna be honest and tell you guys what we actually felt. Like the fandom stuff is actually fuels my anger. It doesn't make me go out here and say a bunch of stuff that's not true. So anyway, Joshua Jordan, I think the game plan was vanilla except for the TD drive. We barely made an attempt to throw the ball downfield. Ugly offense. Vanilla game plan, like you can be here's the beauty of a PT of a RPO offense. Your vanilla is what allows you to be able to have an answer for whatever the defense throws at you, right? Like it's the standard stuff in the offense that says if there are this many guys in the box, then we look at what kind of leverage we have on the outside. Are they even on the outside? If they're even on the outside, we're going to give the quick throw and just take the little 2-3 yard situation or make them miss a tackle in the open field and it breaks for something bigger. Right? If they're going to solo up on the outside, we're going to take our shots one-on-one with one of our receivers. We did that so infrequently in this game. I have to wonder, is Peyton Thorne just really that lacking in trust for this wide receiver core that he is, because he's not pulling the trigger, man. Like he's just absolutely not pulling the trigger on stuff. And he's saying he needs to see it before he releases it. And that's not going to get it done with better defenses. Yeah. If you've got to see it before you release it, that shows a lack of trust in the guys that you're throwing the ball to, and this is going to sound harsh when I say it, and I get it. I'm not bagging on Peyton Thorne, or it shows a lack of competence in your ability to play quarterback. It's one of two things.
So as the president of the Robbie Ashford fan club, which I've now owned completely now, I just think Peyton Thorne, I mean, for what it's worth, he shouldn't have any lack of confidence in players like Rivaldo Fairweather and Shane Hooks. Because we've seen what they can do. It has been filmed at practice, what they can do. We saw Shane Hooks jumping over Auburn's defensive back room that we can all agree is probably the best position group on this team. Shane Hooks is going up with one hand in practice and just nabbing it over everybody. And Rivaldo Fairweather is 6'4". Still overthrew it, yes. And he underthrew Rivaldo Fairweather and got lucky that it was called for PI. And then was able to throw it back up to him in the back of the end zone. But I just look at it, I think it's a lack of confidence. Coming out the gate, Peyton Thorne just looked rattled. And then Hugh Freeze panicked, threw Robbie Ashford in, and called plays meant for Peyton Thorne, trying to call plays where you PA roll out, trying to make a pass down the field when that's not what Robbie should be used for, especially with his shoulder not being 100%.
Well, this is where I question who's calling plays throughout the game. I do think that there was a bit of a power struggle going on.
Are we back here?
Yeah, it just felt like it because it took too long for decisions to be made in certain scenarios. I think they're having debates on the headset about what the play call needs to be in certain scenarios. We knew that I felt like this was going to rear its head in a close game because now you have a decision. It's not just it's like, okay, in this scenario, what do we like here? What do you like here? No, I like this. I like this. Well, I want to call this. Well, I want to call this with Robbie in the game. No, I want to call this one with Peyton in the game. You got so many options out there. Now the power struggle begins for who's and ultimately, of course, Coach Hugh Freeze is the one who gets to make the decision. But like, are we coming to that conclusion quickly enough? Is Coach Hugh Freeze saying, hey, I got this right here on this third down, but then you disrupt the flow of the play caller, right? Because it's like, well, I was setting something up with this, right? It's got to be harmonious in who's calling the plays. And it wasn't tonight. We had too many early timeouts in the second half, and it was just it didn't look right, man. It didn't.
I was worried about the timeouts. I was like, because in a tight game, especially with the new clock rules.
Yeah,
you're burning timeouts early in the half, and I'm thinking, oh, good God, is this going to come back and haunt them, right? If they don't have them. So, game management, right, is a skill, and some coaches seem to have it, and at times even the best coaches I think struggle with it, but it's something they're going to have to watch. Like I said, Hugh Freeze has shown a great ability to be able to self-assess and say, we need to be better here for our players and for the team and for all of Auburn. And I think that they're going to do a lot of that after this game, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that. They're fortunate it didn't cost them a win, but they have to treat this like they lost it.
Right.
And then go back and it's an emergency, right? Like we got the win, like we're 2-0, but we're fortunate to be 2-0 because a loss to this team after looking at the stats after would have been embarrassing. Cal actually outgained Auburn in total yards by 50, 60 yards. And it was, and when I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking, wow, we played down to this competition. Auburn played down to the competition here. This was not a good football team, guys.
And this answers the next super chat question. Did you guys underestimate Cal or overestimate Auburn?
I overestimated the game plan. I thought the game plan would be better than what we saw.
I had a lot more confidence in the offense coming into this game, and I had no reason to have that kind of confidence based on what they showed.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, it was the game plan to me set the play a lot, especially Peyton Thorne, probably more than anybody, was set up for failure today with that game plan. Yeah. I don't think he had a chance in the first 3 quarters of being successful. How they chose to call plays for him, it allowed for no flow of the offense. And man, a lot of people will make a bunch of hubbub about the off passes that he had, but I don't think perfection is not the expectation. So I'm not super down on him for that. He's got to get better, certainly. But I think that maybe if the flow of the game is different, you don't see some of those mistakes. Right. I think there's like a causality to it. So when Brian was arguing hey, I'm like, no, I think that a lot of what you saw when they started making mistakes was because the situations that were set up by the play calling set them up for that.
Right.
That's what I saw. I put more of this on the coaches than I do on the players. And the quarterback, the old saying, he gets way too much praise and way too much blame or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to come down on Peyton Thorne for this. I'm not super down on him, but he does have to improve.
Right.
And quickly, man, because Texas A&M is coming. And
the whole slow start games, that has to be, you got to get that out of your system.
Yeah, hopefully the defense continues to improve and build. Hopefully we haven't seen the best of what Auburn's defense is going to be this year either. Right. They stayed healthy. I don't think there were any major injuries during this game. Nobody got carted off the field. There was one cramp, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, keep guys healthy and just try to.
Jalen McLeod and DK, I think, were the only ones that came off of the field for any sort of injury.
Yeah, but finished the game, right? So,
yeah.
Clever super chat. Oh, and that's I didn't get. Sorry. Fair to say that Freeze took over play calling for that drive. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I will ask that question Monday. I promise you, James. I will ask this question Monday in the presser. Take us through the last drive, and who was at the helm. It looked a little different.
And I'd actually like to know, was some of the delay in some of the play calling and timeout situation you got I'd like to know what was happening right there.
Yeah. What's the communication between you and Philip Montgomery on play calls? Is he just calling it from the booth, or, are you giving input in real time on his calls as he's calling the game?
Yeah, because it seemed to be really slow.
Yeah.
This is the clever super chat because it was the final score 14-10. These games didn't go our way in the past couple of years other than Mizzou. I'll take the ball bouncing our way for once. Cal's ought not have ran his he shouldn't have ran his mouth to our D. We're damn Eagle fellas. Keep up the great work. We will definitely do our best to do that. Thank you so much for the super chat there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is good to see it go our way, right? It's been a minute since we felt like Auburn Jesus was on the main line, and we appreciate that. Let's see. Otis Smith says, crazy that Robbie was a top 180 player out of 300. What's crazy about that, I guess? I don't know.
I mean, he might be a top 1 player next year. Heisman Trophy campaign.
Oh, fan club, go hard.
Dylan, yes, I love
Go
it.
hard.
He's boogieing.
I have a bit.
Yes.
I'm living up to it.
Jim Bloodworth says, Mike G, what was Asante's power level tonight? I guess we're going back to
Gauge are over. Gauge are over 9,000. You got to be a super nerd to know.
I was about to say this is back to the Dragon Ball stuff right here.
Dragon Ball Z.
B Will's forehead says, good thing is a lot of this was play calling, and that can be fixed. Maybe if Peyton had gotten settled after that first drive, we would feel different.
Yeah, it felt like they just needed to settle him into the game. The first drive, if you're going to run the ball this much with him, you have to work with him on ball security. Yeah, right. You have to work with on ball security, man. Like, he carried the ball like a guy who doesn't carry the ball a lot.
Right.
And it should have turned into a touchdown for Cal on the very first drive. So, when he goes back and he looks at that, it's something that Hugh Freeze has definitely got to hammer home, man. Like, when you take off with that ball, secure the football. Make plays, but secure the football. And I think that they'll find when you're trying to secure that football and you're not a natural runner, it slows you down.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's hard to go high and tight and run with the football, man, when that's not something you're used to doing, right? So those guys are supreme athletes being able to do that. And I don't think anybody's going to accuse Peyton Thorne of being a supreme athlete. So,
yeah. I mean, it's not his game.
Stop calling those plays with him.
100%. Let's see. Frankie Freeze says we gave the Pack their first loss. We gave the Pack their second loss because
did Oregon win or lose?
Mississippi
Oregon
State
won. Mississippi State beat Arizona.
Oh yeah,
so we gave them their second loss.
Another ugly team too.
Blake Robinson says we're damn Eagle, gentlemen. UGLY, but we're 2-0, and Bama ain't. Let's effing go. You are correct about that.
It's still a good night.
True Beast 28 says they gave up on the passing game completely. Second half, we threw 4 passes all of the second half, something crazy like that.
It was not a lot. I mean, I think that Peyton Thorne went 9 for something, or it was
9 for 14.
9 of 14.
9 of 14, right? Yeah. So
Robbie Ashford threw 3 passes?
1 to 3 for no yards.
For no yards,
or something. Stupid screen pass.
They total
and the one
the ball less
throw
than
that
20
he almost
times.
Threw a pick on. I was like, "What are you doing, Robbie?"
That was the play where it took too long to develop. I don't know why they called him on that play.
Yeah, let's guys. I'm going to be honest, man. Less than 20 throws against a team that was dead last in the pack in passing yards allowed per game.
And North Texas lit up last week for 2 huge.
I don't understand it, man.
I didn't understand what happened.
Oh yeah, this I'm telling you.
And I just don't know. I just don't know if you can just blame. Yeah, the play calling, man. It's just we should have taken advantage of that for sure.
It could have also been a factor of I think Cal might have been looking ahead to us because Cal, for what it's worth, I went back to underestimating. I think we underestimated Cal's defense, and because Peter Sirmon at Cal is a great defensive mind. He's going to make some other Power 5 school very happy someday as a head coach, and I think they were just ready for it because first half. Auburn just could not get anything going, running, passing, just nothing. I think Cal was ready for Auburn all the way through, and it just came down to Auburn finally finding a way to out-talent Cal.
Yeah, and that's why I say I don't think that we underestimated Cal. Maybe I don't know what they did in that building as far as their estimations of Cal. I don't think I underestimated Cal. I think I got exactly the Cal football team I thought I was going to get, which is a team that is just okay. They're not great. They're not terrible, but that team was not good enough for us to only score 14 points on. It just wasn't, man.
Right.
But that's me. Again, that maybe I'm overestimating what I think of Auburn in their talent level.
Jason Jones just tweeted, there's a lot of focus on the name Auburn, but what I see on film is not really in comparison to what their name is. I just want to get that into my guy's head that the name doesn't mean anything. Laughing, crying emoji. He quoted him.
He had that in the drafts.
They heard.
Clearly did.
I think people thought I was capping when I was like, "Yo, they watched this dude's comments in the defensive line meetings."
There's no reason they shouldn't have. They should have played it. We've toured the facility. They have this wall that they have where the big projection thing out there in the hallway outside the meeting rooms. They should have just had that on replay just put it on a loop as you're walking through the facility past the meeting rooms. You're just seeing Jaden Ott up here saying Auburn's name means more the name means something, but when I put it on replay as you're walking through, and all you hear is Jaden Ott saying Auburn ain't nothing.
Yeah, that was he'll learn. I thought that was a teaching moment for him as a young guy. A lot of Auburn fans did not understand why I was so like harped on it. They were like, "You doing too much, Mike." I'm like, "No, you guys don't get it." No,
I will say this:
no winning team has their players like if one of Saban's players had done that, you got to get benched for saying some stuff like that before a game.
But this goes to show my point about the level of talent on Cal. They couldn't afford to bench him. He's too good. He's too good. He's too much of a difference maker on that team.
Right.
Right.
I will say this. They said that he received some DMs from Auburn fans. I really wish we wouldn't do stuff like that. I really wish.
Listen, there's an element in every fan base that's going to do that sort of thing, and you knew it was going to happen. It's unfortunate. The fortunate reality is, though, that it doesn't represent the vast majority of Auburn fans. So thankful that the Auburn fans were a little bit better. And, even to the point. All right, man, we'll see you later, man. Appreciate you, bro.
I may jump back in, but cool. I'll hang out.
But yeah, man, the majority of the fan base just wasn't in that sort of mind frame. It to the point where, to what you said, Mike G, they were like, man, you're taking this the wrong way. Like, hey, man, just let him live. And it's like, nah, he's got to eat this. He's got to own these words. And unfortunately, we didn't make him eat enough crow, in my opinion.
Yeah, he got the touchdown. I mean, which kind of made his night not a complete failure, but
I mean, I would have took the touchdown if we had just scored more points. Like, I'm fine with him getting a little touchdown so he feels better about himself, but we should have done better offensively so it wasn't even close. So he doesn't walk around Cal's campus being like, man, if I hadn't got knocked out of the game, it would have been different. Right. No, it was not going to be different, sir. It was not. You're wrong. You guys are just you're mediocre. Cal is the equivalent of a Jalen Milroe pass, mid.
Yeah,
I had to get at least one shot in on him, at least one.
We got a whole week.
I can get you a clickbait quote real quick. People have been talking about how Quinn Ewers did the most for his NFL draft stock tonight. I think Eugene Asante did even more for his NFL draft stock tonight.
But you know what? That's not a crazy statement.
It's not, but for every other fan base, it would be though.
Nah, Eugene Asante.
I think he put himself on the map today.
Absolutely put himself on the map. People they're game planning for Eugene Asante right now at Sanford, being like, yo, if Nine's on the field, we got to do something about that.
No,
I guarantee it.
No, they were sleeping. They'll start game planning tomorrow when they wake up.
Somebody from Sanford staff was watching this game. They were like, yo.
They're asleep.
Nine is kind of nasty, bro.
These late-ass games. Oh, my God.
9 on both sides of the field, man.
Yeah,
he's gonna take his opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't know who is a bigger fan of whom, whether it's Mike for Jay Fair or Dylan for Robbie Ashford, but that is a good contest, or me for Keontae Scott. But oh my God, how do you even pronounce this? Curito? I don't know. I'm sorry. Curito says, I feel like Alabama walked away with more pride than Auburn did today. This game makes me want to puke. What will the future recruits think? They'll think I can execute better than this.
Yeah.
Walker White is sitting there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come in there and win this game.
I can play better than those guys.
I'm gonna win this job next year when I walk.
I'll tell you this, right? The thing about Alabama is that they've got so many 5-star recruits, right? Like even like I had questions. I wanted to tweet more about Kevin Steele's defense giving up big plays. And I was like, hey, man, like, I'm going to see how y'all feel about Kevin Steele. A lot of people thought that was a great hire. And I was like, we'll see how y'all feel after these yards and plays start rolling in. But ultimately, their players always play to a level that gives them hope, at least. Right. And I think that's where that sentiment comes from. Right. The 2019 Iron Bowl is a perfect example. You know, Auburn won that game, but I told them, I was like, yo, Mac Jones can play. That was my big takeaway from that game was, I think they're in good hands with Mac Jones. And even though they lost and he threw 2 pick sixes, I wouldn't be down on him at all. I tweeted that out. And, I mean, he made it to New York the next year. So, I don't like I said, it's just one of those things with them. They're used to it because they got so many guys, dude. That's how they've recruited. They should feel like that.
What you got, Dylan?
I can give you 2 quotes from recruits. Amon Lane, 4-star DB. Defense win ball games.
I saw him say
and
that.
And then Jaden Lewis, who might be Auburn's next Travis Hunter, because that dude can play on both sides of the ball. Auburn football, 2-0, win is a win. Defense stood on 10 all game.
If you're a defensive player, you are excited to come ball for Auburn right now.
Yeah. It was a great performance.
No matter how ugly an Auburn win, no matter how ugly an Auburn loss, you will not see an exodus of a stadium like we saw today with Alabama fans leaving Bryant-Denny Stadium. You will never see any kind of exodus like that.
I'm worried, though, about wide receiver recruits looking at this offense, though.
I mean, they get to start immediately.
I'm not. Yeah,
it's not, but it isn't on the receipt. Like the who's gonna throw him the ball, man?
You said something like you said you wanted to see the all 22 because you needed to see what the receivers were or were not doing. So what we've seen in 2 straight games are if you're not hooks out jumping people or fair just being quick from the slot, we still don't know if we have receivers that can get open from the outside. Did tonight answer that question?
I don't know. No, I mean, again, I need to see what happened downfield to know that definitively. I just don't. Again, this goes back to me. I think the game plan. They threw a back shoulder fade was it 4th and 2 or 3rd and 2 where they threw it to Amari Kelly? 3rd and 2 to Amari Kelly. Now, while I don't have an issue with the call, well, a lot of people had an issue with the call. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just run the ball? I don't have an issue with the call per se. I have an issue with the decision and the type of ball you threw to Amari Kelly. Amari Kelly's like 5'11", and you threw it like he was Shane Hooks. If you're going to throw a back shoulder to Amari Kelly, it needs to be the way that that Holden Gerner was throwing those to Malcolm Johnson.
Yeah.
That's the way you throw him open. But that it's just like you're not throwing the right.
So there's somebody on the bench who can make that throw, is what you're saying. Got it. Okay.
I've seen him do it in the game.
Cool.
Now, it might have been against some scrubs at UMass, but like you'd have to be an all-world DB to be able to pick off that throw.
Yeah, I think Peyton Thorne can make that throw. I just think if he's got to get out of his head, man.
But see, there's the problem. When is he going to get out of his head, bro? He's been in his head apparently for half of fall camp, and now the first 2 games of the season. You've got to start putting it on the field, or all of this. I've seen him potentially do. Some ain't right, bro. Something's not right.
For what Hugh Freeze said, he said this in the presser last week. He said, I'm figuring them out while they're figuring me out. Maybe I need to address him different when he's coming off the field. Again, managing emotions and things like that. Again, my number one issue was if you're going to go get somebody that's more ready to run this thing, you shouldn't still have to be managing the emotions of the guy that you're coaching. I shouldn't have to tell you, hey, man, don't miss a wide open wide receiver. Or, hey, man, why don't you calm down a little bit instead of trying to stretch out right there? That wasn't for the Super Bowl. This is the first drive of the game. You don't have to sell out for that and make that mistake. If you're the adult, which is what he's been, the whole reason you go get him, why? Why do we still have to coach him this way? You got 3 guys who you think are you got 2 guys who are already here who you thought were so inexperienced you had to go get some experience, and you're holding the new guy's hand. If you got to hold their hand, go with the guy who has the most talent, period. If you got to hold his hand, go with the guy who has the most talent. I don't understand why you would.
Yeah, it's confusing to me too. Otis Smith jumps in here, and I know we got a lot of supers coming in, guys. I'm trying to roll through them as quickly as I can. This whole damn game was just weird and strange. That is a factual statement. Very weird game from literally the very first drive. Wardam ATL says an ugly win will always be better than a good loss. Wardam Eagle, I am going to be in agreement with you there. Auburn Dad says so. We're playing in suck time. What? And suck time zone. Oh, okay. On the road with bad plays and worse execution and still won. So I'm just going to be happy with the win. Listen, we played at a sucky time in a sucky time zone on the road. 100% correct, and we still won. So yes, I'm glad we won an ugly game. I'm not glad that the game was ugly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mark RWC says B will need some sleep. Asante for defensive player of the week.
My eyes just look like this. I'm fine.
Ryan Brown says final non-postseason game, versus the Pac-12 was a W. Yeah, listen, man, we won. And listen, man, we've done well against the Pac-12, honestly. So not mad about it. Perry Unlikely said, should Hugh call plays?
Oh man. yeah. Like we don't know that he wasn't.
Right.
But if we're taking him at his word, he wasn't.
Correct.
Because he said Philip Montgomery would call plays. So,
but he also said, I may grab
reserve the right to jump in here if I see something.
Would. Yeah. Because on that last drive to Fairweather, when the one where they got called for holding and also the touchdown drive, I saw him looking down at a play sheet.
I'm going to ask him this question Monday.
Yeah. If it wasn't asked in the post game, then somebody definitely needs to
I'm definitely going to ask him Monday. Yeah.
Let's see here. B Will's forehead. Ott is the defense's trigger word. We need a sign. Listen, man, if I hope there's a Jaden Ott that pops up if the defense is gonna play like that, somebody be Jaden Ott from that other team every single week, bruh. Somebody say something stupid.
Maybe you need a safe word. It's Ott. Ott. It hurts.
I need them to do that every single week, bro. AD says, when does Jazzy get to be out? When does Jazzy get to be out equipment truck?
To be our equipment truck, I think.
Equipment truck.
Yeah, right. To drop the equipment. Yes. You know what? I will petition the people that make such decisions. They'll ignore me, but I will petition them. Jazzy, he's already set up for it. Just hook the trailer up and let's go.
Absolutely. Well, when we get the War Rapport mobile situation hooked up, then Jazzy's gonna drive for us. Let's just get that together right now. This was in reference to when Dylan first came on. Joshua Jordan was amping you on and saying, hate.
Yeah, I'm an ample enjoyer of haterade. A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia all get an 8-pack each of haterade, and I sprinkle some in Michigan and some other schools around. It's horns down from now on. After tomorrow, it's horns down.
Yeah.
But horns up because they beat Bama, but now horns down.
Yep. Let's see here. Tori Moore says, I think Cobb has earned himself some more carries. Cobb looked good when he got his opportunities out there.
He's the only running back that didn't fumble.
But he didn't fumble.
Did he get snaps at running back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he had 3 carries in this game.
Okay.
3 for 20.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Let's see. Connor Hall, classic Auburn heart attack game. You are not wrong about that. Yeah. Cardiac cacks will always be a thing. James Stalling says it's just like Thorne said. F it. I'm going with Rivaldo and see what happened. It worked out though. Yeah.
They had to call it to Rivaldo though. Like they were not calling passing plays in the red zone. First of all, that what was going on early. I agree with that being.
Oh my God, I was so happy to see them throw that fade route to Rivaldo. Dog. I've been asking for this for 2 years.
Yeah, throw to the big targets. And when it was Landon King,
yes,
throw to the big target in the end zone. Yes, but they had to call that pass pattern for Rivaldo in the red zone. It seems like Hugh said, "Listen, I know we weren't going to burn anything good."
I think that was actually an RPO. I think that they came out there and they said, if we get this look on the outside, they put him out there and they said, if you get Rivaldo one-on-one, throw it to him. If they don't, then you're handing the ball off. They gave him a one-on-one look and he was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go take my guy to the outside. That was the first drive where it looked like we played football, man. Well, I take second drive because the drive where DA fumbled, we looked like we were playing football on that drive.
We were balling in too. And even when Cobb was in there, man, he looked good too.
So listen, let me do this. AU alum, thank you for gifting the memberships, 50 gifted memberships tonight. So there's 50 new people that will be available for film review. We're still doing film review despite how ugly this is going to look. So y'all just gonna have to grin and bear it with me, man. We're gonna go through this stuff, but 50 more people now have access to that thanks to our guy AU alum, and we appreciate that very much. G Boston 74 says we need to put Gunner back to right tackle and start right at left guard.
Yes.
So did they not Miller had it around some? Did they not switch it around some? I thought I did see Britton at right tackle a couple times.
I think Xavier Miller played right tackle the entire game, and it was Jeremiah Wright. They called his name a lot.
Jeremiah Wright was out there. I remember seeing his hair.
Yeah, he was out there a little bit in the game. I have to go back and look at what the combinations were. I'm pretty sure they had him at right tackle on one of those drives, because when they did it, they called the same play back-to-back plays with Jarquez Hunter. It was a guard tackle pull where they had the guard and the tackle pull around as the lead blockers. They called the exact same play, 2 plays in a row. The first one went for a pretty big gain from Jarquez, and the second one was a shorter one. I think it was the one he fumbled on, actually, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, but I do remember it was Dylan Wade and I think it was Gunnar Britton that were leading through on both of those guard tackle pulls. So I said he was playing at guard and or tackle for multiple at different places throughout the game, because he was playing at tackle as well. So I don't know. I have to go back and watch the film more closely because I wasn't looking at offensive line combinations like that. I Am Hop says, do it. I don't know what this is in reference to. It's been so long ago.
So sorry, Hop.
Yep, and he has another one in here. Listen, man, these chats are flying in here. I still got plenty. I still have to get through here. Doing stuff with Daddy says, congrats to the D-line. Run defense was not our weakness. He is correct about that. That was one thing I was worried the most about.
I kept telling people, though, if you're going based on what you saw on tape last week, that's a mistake. Because football is a game of matchups and game plans. And I knew they were going to try to sell out. They were going to force that first quarterback to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
I called that every day, every show I went on this week. I said, guys, they're going to make that guy throw the ball. And that's exactly what they did. And it was an absolute disaster for them to the point that they had to pull him because they were not going to move the ball effectively with him in the game. Yeah. Auburn would have gotten like 4 or 5 sacks on him before the end of the game, if not more, if they had left him in there.
Yeah, it would have been really bad, I think, if what's his name? Ben
Finley.
If Ben Finley had stayed in the game, yeah, we probably would have
a lot of problems.
Because he's not as mobile. And listen, we still got sacks with the other dude in the game. They just got the ball out of his hand. Here, this is crazy. They got the ball out of his hand faster. And he's the more mobile guy. But they were just like, we're not going to give them an opportunity to tee off on this dude. He's already hurt. So, like, just get the ball out of his hand really quickly. And he made some good decisions with the ball. But he also threw it up for grabs a couple of times. And I was just like, what are you doing back there?
When you have a dude who could run, right, you do want to let him throw just enough to make you think about it.
Keep him balanced.
Right, yeah. And then it makes his throws more effective. And eventually you catch somebody slipping, right? And you hit them over the top, or you do. They didn't push the ball down the field. Again, I can't wait to look at the passing charts for their quarterbacks to see how much they actually tried to push the ball down the field. It didn't go very well for them when they did. So, Auburn.
We didn't give them time to, though. Like,
right.
They refused to allow them time to develop anything down the field.
But that's what was talked about on this show ad nauseum in the preseason. It was crank up pressure on the quarterback and watch the secondary.
It was so good to see it. It was so good to see
secondary is going to
pressure field game.
So I think they did a good job of it, man. Just, make it a little easier. Don't leave your backs on an island all the time trying to lock down receivers. And, you force them into some bad throws and let the big dogs go get some interceptions.
Yeah. Q Carito is going to make me pronounce this name wrong over and over again. Did you like Brock Osweiler's calls tonight? It was so Pac-12 leaning, bro.
Brock Osweiler.
That's who was calling the game? I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brock Osweiler and Dave Fleming. They might be in my top 2 least favorite commentating crews I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
It was clear that they were with the Pac-12 network. It was like what was Bill Walton last year when we had to listen to him in the USC game, where it was just like the Conference of Champions. Like, it was just like it was overbearingly positive towards the Pac-12 team.
At least you can blame his on some decisions he made in the 60s. Mm-hmm. Brock Osweiler and Dave Fleming just aren't good at calling
maybe
games.
you blame it on a few too many hits he took.
Broncos quarterback.
Yeah,
he's a thief. He stole money from the Broncos, and now he's stealing money from ESPN. So he's just not good at anything.
I steal some money from him too.
What's the opposite of a jack of all trades?
Yeah, man's Call of Fame.
A master of none. Let's see. D-Lev says we'll have to improve our passing game ASAP, especially if we want to keep our receiver commits. I have to agree with this.
I don't think they're going nowhere. No matter what they stay in.
Let's see. We're gonna get. I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation we can have. Ryan Bozell says, or Bozell, I guess. Anyway, people underestimate the impact of the West Coast travel. It's tough on the mind, body, and spirit. We got to win despite ourselves. I mean, listen, it didn't impact the defense. So listen, it's an impact. I'm not gonna say it was no impact.
True,
but at some point in time, you got to wake up and start playing ball. Bro.
That's why when they go to play West Coast bowl games, for the most part, they get out there for they're out there for like a week. To adjust and settle into a routine, and and then go play football like it's normal because you've been there.
Which is why the Big Ten and the ACC are about to be. There's about to be some very ugly football being played in those conferences.
Yeah,
uglier than already.
Let's be clear. Hugh Freeze was asked about this on Monday, and he was very, very adamant. I don't like this. I'd rather play an East Coast team. It is all this bull we got to deal with. He understood there were challenges, certainly, so he was aware of it. That's why I think they're so lucky to get out with the win, right? Like, I mean, it didn't look pretty, but man, he knew there would be challenges, and they still walked away with a W.
Have any of you all tweeted at our guy Spencer McLaughlin yet? That was so adamant that Cal was going to win this game.
No, I haven't. Like, listen, he Spencer. Shout out to Spencer.
Shout out to him. Spencer's a friend of mine. I like him. He's a cool dude.
He did an epic segment with Zach Blackerby over at Locked On. It was people were making memes of them like boxing and stuff, and it was. Listen, he wasn't wrong about some things.
Yeah, he was on our show on the podcast on the
he thought
Auburn
Peyton
Express.
Thorne was not going to have a good night tonight, and he was right. He did not have a good night. I don't think for the same reasons,
right?
That he thought he was not going to have a good night, but ultimately, this was about Auburn just not almost beating themselves tonight.
Correct.
This is what it was. A lot of these were unforced errors. And, whatever turnovers Cal got, like it wasn't the one. I'll give them the one at the end, right, where they actually forced the fumble out of Jarquez.
Yeah, that was on Jarquez more than anything. I mean, there was good heads-up play by that linebacker to
punch the football
out. But, like, Jarquez has got to put – and listen, he was carrying the ball like that the whole time. Like, they tried to snatch it from him one time on the sidelines, and they tried to rip it out from behind. He's just really strong, so they couldn't do that. But in that scenario – there's not 3 points of contact on it. So it's not about your strength. It's about just fundamentally you're not holding the ball correctly when you're going towards when you're falling.
Caddy's going to have them carrying footballs to class this week.
Oh, boy, is he ever going to.
Yeah.
Jarquez,
like I said, DA situation, I don't really put that on him because, I think he legitimately was kind of just out of it from the moment he got hit.
Yeah, I didn't see the helmet to helmet at the time. Yeah.
But Jarquez was and listen, Jarquez has had ball security issues before. This isn't new. He's just got to learn to, like the one goofy fumble during the Iron Bowl last year. That was about him not holding the ball correctly. Now, he wasn't expecting the contact to come from Shanker, but still, if you're holding the ball in the proper place, it doesn't matter who hits your arm. It's not going to come out.
Right.
So, Drake Barefoot says, sometimes it takes SH show, like this to figure out what needs to be fixed. 2, sure. I want to see Holden get his shot. 3, I believe Coach Hugh Freeze called the TD to Fairweather. There's going to be a lot of people who have this opinion that Coach Hugh Freeze was the one that called the touchdown.
They said he actually made that comment himself in the post game. We just didn't see it.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat said that he said that in the post game. So.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to have him elaborate that on that on Monday. But look, man, if you want to see Holden, I'm just not sure how we get there. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we get there this year. It's tough with him technically finishing third in the QB race. But we'll see. We'll see what Hugh Freeze does here. I mean, how long is his leash for Peyton Thorne?
I'll say this. Samford's your opportunity to do it, though.
Yeah, if he goes out there like in the third quarter or something.
How do you disagree?
Samford is the opportunity to tighten up whatever it is you felt like was wrong.
I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying if you're going to make the change, Samford's your opportunity to make that change and let Holden get some experience before you go to Texas A&M. I don't think you get to SEC play and make the change afterwards.
I agree with you, but I also, well, let me say this. This is the issue with having to choose a guy early, because anybody you picked with a new team, or if you're Robbie and Holden, a new offensive line, new receivers, new coach, new offensive coordinator, all of that, You need time. And some of that time that you spend getting it together is not going to look good. So I'm not discouraged by Peyton Thorne throwing an interception or even having
let me be clear. I'm not calling for this to happen. I'm
No, I get
saying
what you're
if
saying.
it's going to happen, that would be the best time to do it. I'm not saying that we should bench Peyton Thorne right now. That's
right.
So for before somebody takes it out of context and says I'm trying to get rid of Peyton Thorne, whatever. That's not what my statement.
We agree, and I agree with that. Even with what I've been saying this show, I don't think the answer is to bench Peyton Thorne. That's why I don't think they will, because you saw from the young man, if you felt like in camp, oh, he was pressing, that's why he messed up. Okay, let me name the starter, settle him down. All right, well, he played better after we named the starter. All right, you go into the first game. He was mostly okay. He missed a couple throws. Okay, settle down. Go out on the road. And we said how much that Big Ten experience should have been a benefit to him, right? You went to Ohio State. You went to Penn State. You went to Michigan. You've done all that. But at Cal, that's when you look shaky and your decision-making isn't great. Now I've got questions about, do I think you can really do this? Maybe I made a mistake by naming you the starter. I don't think that Hugh Freeze and company are there yet. I think you now double down and be like, all right, we've seen how you've worked under these different circumstances. It's time to iron out the kinks right now, and then we're going to move forward because we have to get ready for Texas A&M. If you were going to name the most talented quarterback the starter, whether you thought that was Robbie Ashford or Holden Geriner, you should have done it game one and give them 2 games to mess up and make their mistakes. Whoever gets the lead, and this was the benefit of naming somebody the starter, you get a chance to mess up. You get a chance to work it out and mess up some and still win games, which right now we're 2-0. So it's similar to what other people say when their quarterbacks don't look great. Well, how could you bench them when they're 2-0? They're undefeated. Yeah, you get that, but you also see what they have to work on. But you've burned 2 games, not playing the most talented quarterback, but supposedly the safest one. If the safest one doesn't look safe, I can understand why somebody would be like, hey, man, throw Holden Geriner out there and see what he's got. Yeah, but now he's going to be in the fire because he didn't get who was our first game? UMass. He didn't get a UMass to get all worked into a rhythm. He didn't get any reps at Cal.
That's why I said, if you're going to do it, Samford is the game to do it. This is where I disagree with you. I think you're safe. And I said this before, I think the safe bet is to play Thorne early because Cal is game 2 and you want to give him a practice game, a game to get the kinks worked out before you go to Cal, as opposed to you don't want to roll the dice on the new guy at Cal. You don't want to do that.
I agree.
You want to go out there with
it would have been unfair to him. It would have been unfair to him to throw him out there, right? Yeah.
So now that you've had the opportunity to say, okay, is he or is he not the guy, meaning Peyton Thorne? If you're going to make a change, Samford's really the only place in the season where it makes a ton of sense to do that, because that's a home game and you get another warm-up game with the other guys around him being more experienced in the system.
Yeah, so but it's still almost second half before you're getting to him, right? Like, you give him a half.
I don't think it's going to happen. Like, listen, this is not. I don't think that that's a decision that's going to happen. The bigger decision for me is, are we going to commit at some point in time and say Robbie Ashford needs to be the guy to be the quarterback for this team?
Or Peyton Thorne is the unquestioned starter, right? Like, one way or the other. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, right now, I don't think it's ever going to be a decision of Holden versus Peyton. I think it's going to be Holden versus Robbie.
I feel like this season has been compared a lot to 2013 season, and everything about it just screams 2013. And I just look at the first 2 games of that season, and it flip-flopped. You got a blowout game against a non-Power 5 opponent. You got that week 2 Arkansas State. But week 1, you had a pretty mediocre Pac-12 team in Washington State that you struggled against, ran the ball pretty well against.
I remember.
But Nick Marshall didn't really throw for a lot of yards, and kind of just thinking, well, is this guy really going to be our guy at quarterback? But Auburn prevailed and with the SEC play and continued to have the 2013 season that did happen. And this is one of those games that kind of rings an ugly win that happened despite a quarterback not performing up to par that we want and that we expect. And I think this is just something that you use Samford as a way to kind of get back into the swing of things, get Peyton Thorne back on the right track, because, I mean, Jimbo Fisher is just not a big game coach. So take advantage of that before you have to play, Georgia and LSU. But just looking at 2013 schedule, it looks very similar.
This version of Auburn would have gotten run off the field by Texas A&M tonight. This week's version of Auburn would have gotten run off.
They would have called it differently. That's what the crazy. I really think they did not respect Cal at all, which is why you even come out with a vanilla game plan. They thought we can get away with this out here. We don't have to show them anything. We can just line up and mash them, and we should be able to win.
I don't know, man. I have so many thoughts about this game plan. Patrick Duke not loving things, calling this a Gus Malzahn special.
It looked
that reads like a slur. I don't know if I would go that far. I just don't know that I would go that far. I think that, again, what separates him from others is the ability to self-assess. So I'm right now, I feel really confident in his.
Yeah, because do you get that touchdown drive with Gus Malzahn?
No.
Which one you talk about? The Fairweather drive?
The Fairweather drive.
Yeah. I don't think you get it, right? Yeah, I'm just saying, I think that after this, I feel really confident Hugh Freeze is going to sit down, look at the game plan they put together, and talk to his staff and be like, guys, we can't do this again. Let's straighten this out. I never felt that way about Gus. It was just like his play calling. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it until they stop it. And after they stop it, we're going to do it some more until it starts working again. Right?
Yeah, like arson too.
Like what?
It's been a rough few years, man, watching the offense prod along, trying to pretend as if, we're masquerading as an offense out there on the football field, and it's not working. Let's see here. B. Mays, 2006 says Freeze said evaluating DK for a concussion. Okay.
Oh man.
Hope it's all right.
Yeah, I will definitely try to reach out and see if I can get a status on that.
That's actually more surprising because DA was the one that looked like he was should have been in concussion protocol. But DK was down for a minute. I have to go back and look at that play and see when did he get head contact, because he was trying to hold the edge and the running back goes past him and he's reaching out for him. I don't know. I have to go back and look at that play. James Stalling says, look at the bright side. We don't have Jeff Sims. Jesus Christ.
Currently leads all quarterbacks in college football with turnovers.
Oh, that boy had 5 turnovers so far this season already. Jeff Sims looked absolutely atrocious, bro.
Yeah. Man, I don't know who people are really getting hyped up off Nebraska. Like they were, how could y'all pick Prime? Nebraska's gonna win. Y'all are idiots. Y'all didn't watch them play Minnesota. They had 10 points in more than 4 quarters. Excuse me, they had 10 points. Nebraska's awful. Jeff Sims is awful. He was awful. I don't even know why he was still the quarterback.
Yeah.
Matt Rule was a master of wasting any kind of talent. Per the Carolina fan.
Well, he really might not have no talent at quarterback. That might be.
Let's see. No, his quarterbacks aren't talented.
He kicked it out.
Yeah, so that's okay. So again, this is something Mike G says. Quarterback choosing is not an exact science, and a lot of coaches get this wrong. I understand Casey Thompson was injury prone, but you don't let him walk out the door, man. Not when Jeff Sims is your guy. You can't let I'd take a hobbled Casey Thompson over Jeff Sims the way he's been playing so far this season. And it's not as if he didn't have these same problems when he was at Georgia Tech. I could understand if it's like a new thing. Like he's always been turnover prone his entire career so far. So if you want an offense because their defense actually looks decent. If you want to have a competent offense, you can't have a guy that's going to be giving the ball to the other team consistently. It's just not a real thing, man.
Yeah, it's rough.
Fun fact, Casey Thompson currently has 5 touchdowns and 1 interception at Florida Atlantic right now.
I'm not surprised. He was a good quarterback when we thought it was going to be him or what's his name, Peyton Thorne. I thought Casey Thompson was a better option. He is somewhat prone to injury, but I thought he had a good handle on when to run and when not to run as an athletic quarterback, but he could also throw. It doesn't surprise me that he's having some success down there.
All right, y'all. Well, it is 3:00 in the morning on the East Coast. Is 2:15 here in the Central Time Zone. We're going to get out of here. We still have a lot of breaking down that we got to do tomorrow, so we will be back at you guys tomorrow. Special shout out once again to BetterHelp. Make sure you might need to use this, BetterHelp.com. You just want to talk to somebody. If you still want to be up and talk to somebody tonight, BetterHelp.com/rapport. and they get a little something off of your first situation over there. They have people who are standing by right now who will be able to talk to you. Make sure you head over there. Make sure you hit up our folks over at the Rogue Shop as well. Use code REPORT there. But we will be back at you guys tomorrow for the weekend tailgate. It's going to be at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you guys set your reminders or whatever. Get you some sleep. And we'll be back at you guys, man. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. This is it, man. War Report, War Eagle. Peace.
Peace.